All right, hello, good evening, and welcome to the program, The Law of the People and Governance here on Spectrum Television. Well, this is a program that bridges the gap between the government and the people here on Spectrum Television. My name is Rachel Davis.
My name is Shegun Onwese, and it promises to be an exciting one today.
Okay, so a quick one. Today we'll take a look at some of the events happening here in Nigeria as it concerns politics and of course other activities. And of course we have few reports for tracking at the moment. We'll talk about for today we'll talk about the of course, federal government happening at the Senate, of course, the tussle, the battle for minority leadership position. True. And as well, we'll take a look at the EU report. We had that last week, Shegun.
Exactly.
Yes, so the president has actually spoken about the report. Well, he has rejected the report. So those are the stories we'll be looking at for today on the program. And of course, as usual, we'll have a resource person that will be talking to us today on the program. So a quick one, let's take a look at the first story we're tracking for today, Shegun. Okay, here in Akwa Ibom State, former presidential aide, Senator Itaina, has disclosed that the federal government has approved the establishment of a Federal College of Education Innovation in Ibom local government area of Akwa Ibom State. And of course, Enang, a former senior special assistant on Niger Delta affairs to the president, made this known to newsmen at the site of a new institution in Idide near Uyo on Saturday. Enang said the institution would actually help meet the demand for quality teachers in the state and the country as well.
Institution. The school, which will be one of its kind in the country, will be the first college of education that focuses on the 21st century innovation to help drive creativity, Enang said. Enang allayed the Federal College of Education, siting of the Federal College of Education on the premises of the school. He added that the tertiary institution would operate side by side with the secondary school as there was enough land to accommodate the two institutions.
Okay, away from that, he gave assurances that, of course, the people of the area, that the institution would boast economic activities in their community, urging them to support the efforts of the federal government in developing the nation. And he also said the federal government had appointed Dr. Edem Ntuk as pioneer provost and Mr. Nsemeke Uduakpan as pioneer registrar of the new college. Yeah, and also added that the Federal College of Education Innovation would commence academic activities in September this year. That's a nice development. And of course, in his remarks, the provost of the new institution, Ntuk, thanked Enang for his efforts in bringing life-touching projects to the state.
That's very. That's a new development. Ntuk revealed that the institution will train and equip students. Young Ibom presented an excellence award to Enang. She commended Enang for personally constructing classroom blocks and other projects in the school. The principal charged other old boys and girls of the school to contribute to the growth of the institution.
Okay, so, you know, bringing a little bit about the story. So I think this is a welcome development.
It is.
Talking about the people. You know, citing such a huge projects here in Akwa Ibom State, and of course it's like how federal government is looking at this. Last week we talked about Ibona, so if such a thing can actually happen in Ibona, of course we know that already.
True, I'm a crusader for basic education and secondary education. I believe that education from the micro aspects where human beings are trained and they acquire certain skills, the more people that are trained and acquire.
Okay, away from that, another report we're tracking for today. I told you already, we'll take a look at what is happening in the Senate. Well, as the Senate resumed on Tuesday, the case resolved to elect former Senate Deputy Minority Leader, that's Senator Abdul Ningi PDP vowed and to elect him as the Minority Leader of the 10th Senate. And this is just coming on the heels of pressure and entreaties from PDP senators and other critical stakeholders in the party, including state governors to former Sokoto State Governor, of course.
That's true.
Yes, and to withdraw from the rest. I think that is where they really have an issue. Is the first time.
Really. Ningi is said to be enjoying the support of majority of PDP senators and those from other minority parties owing to his long-standing legislative experience in the Senate. A decision that is unconnected with the parliamentary tradition and rule of Ningi, who ranks as one of the longest-serving members of the National Assembly, has held principal offices.
Critical stakeholders in the PDP are said to be reserved towards Tambuwal, who, as Speaker of the House of Representatives, elected on the platform of the PDP, dumped the party for the All Progressives Congress, APC, in 2014. And of course, Tambuwal's defection had cost the PDP its control of the House of Representatives. The PDP of Sokoto State under the platform of the
That is
APC.
So very correct. On the other hand, most of the senators are aligned with Senator Ningi, given his unbroken loyalty to the PDP. Remember, loyalty is very important.
Even in politics.
And his averred all-inclusive disposition during his tenures. He had anonymity confirmed to journalists in Abuja yesterday that many of the senators are insisting that though Tambuwal was the Speaker of the House of Representatives, he is a first-timer in the Senate and should defer to Senator Ningi. The senator for the former governor of Sokoto State may have acceded to the entreaties.
Well, it was reported that strong indications have emerged on Friday that the national leadership of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, may pitch her tent with the opposing the ambition of the former governor of Sokoto State, Aminu Waziri Tambuwal, to lead them in the Senate as the Senate minority leader. And of course, indications have emerged that the leader of the opposition caucus, Senator Adamu, and its presidential candidate Atiku Abubakar back him former Sokoto State Governor.
They are related, so he must back.
And of course, Alera was reported to have been seen visiting Senator, famously choosing him as the minority leader.
That is
so,
true.
You know, I think I'm seeing Alera sneaking
Senator apart from Tambuwal. And a lot of people say the Nigerian policy is a dirty game and all that. But remember that no matter how much lies go far, the truth will always catch up with it. These are simple measures. Look, became APC governor. He has not been consistent with the PDP. But we're looking at Abdul Ningi being a loyal party member with all the experience that comes with it. And here comes Adamu Alera also. So I'm thinking that the resolve now within the PDP, I can't predict because politicians can change things overnight.
Anything can happen.
But I'm thinking that they prefer any leader outside Aminu Waziri Tambuwal.
Okay, let's take a look at it's just being brought in, if you ask me.
No. A lot of seats that were formerly occupied by the PDP governors, they lost.
They did.
Know, even in the national PC. And then finally, it now resulted, in losing the general elections. Remember that all these leaders have their constituencies and all the constituencies have followers.
Of course.
So as soon as then it resolves to losses.
Okay. All right, so this is where we just go on a short break. When we come right back, I will bring the main report we're tracking, and of course, we discuss extensive. Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken every weekday from 7 a.m.
One truth not often told is about the transformation that Africa has undergone In recent decades, Africa is shaping its own destiny and should be referred to as the African opportunity. On Spotlight Africa, we paint the African picture the African way, laced with truth, detail, and the color of the African continent. Join Uyai Anyekan every Tuesday and Thursdays at 4:30 p.m. Spotlight Africa, telling the African story.
All right, welcome back to the show. It's still the program, The Law of the People and Governance, here on Spectrum Television. And I told you we went on a quick break, so we're back on screen. I and Shegun are here, of course, and we're quickly last week we had talked about the EU report on the just concluded presidential election.
That's right.
So President Bola Tinubu has rejected the reports by the European Union's Electoral Observer Mission on the 2023 general issued by Mr. Dele Alake, Special Advisor to the President on Special Duties, Communications and Strategy. Relied on a few individuals. You can hear the way I'm stressing it.
That's interesting. The president stated that he wanted to sustain the premature denunciation stance expressed in the EU preliminary report released in March. Tinubu amended the conduct and outcome of the election. The statement emphasized that the 2023 general elections, particularly the presidential election won by President Bola in Nigeria since 1999.
Okay, so, well, the president rejected the notion that the election was fraudulent and criticized unlimited coverage and reliance on rumors, hearsay, and, of course, social media comment. African Union, ECOWAS, Commonwealth Observer Mission, and, of course, the Nigerian Bar Association, which Shegun mentioned, validated the transparency across the country, indicated that 91.8% of Nigerians, like almost all Nigerians, considered the elections credible and satisfactory.
The president welcomed the defense of the elections integrity by INEC and concluded by urging the EU and other foreign interests to be objective in their assessments of Nigeria's internal affairs.
The European Union Election Monitoring Group on the 2023 general elections, which concluded that the last election was fraudulent, and of course children who did not vote know that INEC failed woefully and that Tinubu rigged the last election, according to their words, actually, not mine.
The election has not been fully uploaded. This despite the fact that this election was the most expensive in the history of West Africa. How can an election in which the food...
Shagun, this is funny. You know, the PDP, of course, presidential candidates, Ed said, he described as nonsensical. Now, okay, so I'm laughing because, you know, even as you're reading the report, you're laughing as well. So when I came across the report...
You know, in anchoring this kind of program, we are expected to be very, very less opinionated. Most of the times, what we...
You know what I'm doing right now? I'm laughing away my opinion. Okay, so this is the time where we get to, of course, invite our guest who has been on standby to join us. We are being joined. He's ready to join us, so we'll talk better about this because, trust me, that EU's report, of course, we had the recommendation, women inclusiveness, taking time to select INEC members and a whole lot of that.
Points.
Of course, 6 major priority points.
All right,
so,
Mr. Palenus, quickly pay you a compliment. Let me quickly pay you a compliment. You're looking younger and more handsome.
Thank you very much.
We are back. Yeah, we're back with the EU reports, and it's interesting now because having made the recommendations clear with 6 clear, basic, summarized recommendations, the presidency has come to respond, completely rubbishing the report and saying that it's some kind of ploy. I don't know how to best describe, but he's saying it's some kind of ploy. Again and again and again. Is the presidency supposed to be, whether they are right or wrong, are they supposed to be on the defensive as we speak? Mr. Paulinus?
We don't expect anything to the contrary, because asking for the president's opinion in the very election that brought him to power is like asking a plaintiff to be a judge in the matter or a case that he or she brings before the court will have discredit the very election that brought him to office and power. But so having said that, I also want us to look at it from this very perspective. I want to believe that Nigeria and indeed Africa must have come a long way, that we do not wait to tell us what is right or what is wrong with our polity or country. So to that very extent, I want to align my thought with what the presidential advisor on communications and public affairs to the president.
Forgive me, Paulinus. I'm going to interrupt you there. Paulinus, are you with me? News platforms that the EU is not delegitimizing the emergence of Tinubu. Supported the democratic process, which included the elections. Why then, if the federal government and all the aspirants then accepted the support of...
Understand the standpoint of the president, the standpoint of the presidency. And what the presidency has come up to say is beyond the observations or the suggestions to actually know our right from our left. And for me, looking at it holistically and critically, I want to be of that view that at this point in time. So looking beyond the recommendations they have made, I think the presidency is right to know what is right for our country, what is good for our country. For me, I think it's a perspective that we should not only listen to, it's a perspective that we should embrace, because beyond the recommendations of the EU, the mentality of an average Nigerian...
Paulinus Peter, can you hear me?
Interesting.
Can you hear me? Okay, I'd like you to take your mind back to the elections, okay? I'd like you to take your mind back in the election, okay, as alleged by the PDP, right? Let's now talk on the from the point of credibility, where the president says that of course the NBA had already come out to say that the elections are the points they are coming from. They are not even coming from the points that maybe ballot boxes were hijacked or whatever. They are not looking at that. They are looking at, I recommend that if you want to do elections again, you should include women. I recommend you should carefully select them from the point where it says, the election was rigged. So now I think the presidency is just speaking out of guilty conscience. I'm sorry, forgive me, but back to I refuse
to be opinionated. Mr. Paulinus.
Okay, back to the question.
Mr. Paulinus, 1 minute, Mr. Paulinus. She was going to ask you a question. Understand what? Be patient. Let her land. All right.
Okay. Well, what I'm telling you is this: that there is nothing fantastic about what he has said. That
can you see the election was there was no violence in the election? Almost all Nigerians.
Well. I have said that earlier, that you don't expect anything to the contrary from the president, having been the beneficiary of the entire process.
Yes.
So that one is understood. Yes. But on the other hand, I want us to look at it from this perspective, that there is nothing that the EU has said that the local media, including the Spectrum or the TAV media, has not said. Are you with me? So for me, I'm looking at a point where we should, and not a situation whereby... Are you there?
I want to hold you a bit, but you refuse to respond to my question. My question was simple. The EU, through its other donor agencies and other agencies, to support and to entrench democracy, including the elections of 2023. Nigeria opened its arms then and received all the support, hundreds of observers, as against the number Alake gave. And then the EU now say, okay, the election I've supported you with. This is what I've found, and these are my recommendation. It's like speaking from both sides of the mouth, if you ask me. Democracy. These are the things that need to be shifted. And mind you, the EU did not say that these recommendations are delegitimizing the competent court of law, which is the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal. So would you say at this point, everybody is saying the same thing, and the opposition people have even come, you know, to speak against the presidency's rejection, stating...
What's your question?
Will you say the presidency is speaking from both sides of the mouth, having received support and reports?
Well, I am not of that school of thought. The fact that the EU supports Nigeria in our electoral...
Too far, sir. We are talking about the election.
I don't know what you are looking at. I don't know what you are looking at. But all what I'm... The problems of Nigeria, these Nigerian solutions. The problems of have every right to give recommendations or suggestions. So but the point I'm driving home is this, that Nigeria should come to the level... Please, I'm coming.
Mr. Polinos, are you saying foreign organizations don't have a right
to come to the point where they can draw a distinction between opinion and what Nigeria needs as a country? So, in as much as the EU has spoken, I have said earlier that it's not quite different from what the Nigerian people have said. Over time, the Nigerian people, my point is this: Nigerians should not wait until when it is foreign organizations that have spoken before they will now rise up to say this is this, this is that. We should, as Nigerians, begin to see how...
Can you hear
me? Yes, I can hear you.
Let me ask you as a person. That's why I was going through that long trail, of course. I want you to put your mind back on the elections. As an observer, how credible was the election? Would you say, like the president said, 98.1%, it was credible, it was fair, it was non-violent, of course?
Challenges
and
with
what are your
the elections. Are you with me?
Yes, we are.
There were some issues and challenges that to some extent tend to affect the credibility of the elections. But for the fact that there are laws in place in Nigeria, for the fact that this very issue we are talking about, or any other person outside the court of law that is saddled with the responsibility of determining the credibility or otherwise of the election, that is the point I'm raising. Okay. That we Nigerians should come to the point where we have that abiding faith in our... They have made pronouncements, whatever we have to say, whatever any organizations or anybody or any country has to say, must remain at that realm of suggestions and recommendations. We should not take that as the final fact about our electoral processes.
Okay. All right. Just stay tuned. We'll come right back. We'll go on a short break and we'll come.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly abused. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. Nigerian police.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might be murdered Abiola. Who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the...
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every Friday.
Television, and of course we are taking a look at the EU's report. We did that last. Also cited ECOWAS, Nigerian Bar Association, of course the Commonwealth, to have ascertained the credibility. Only thing that stands, so of course there are different angles to that particular report right now. So feel free to join us. The phone number is displayed on your TV screen. And also we have a guest who joined us via audio call. He's still on standby. The person.
Feel free to continue the conversations with us at SpectrumTv online. Remember, at Spectrum, how government has impact on its people is a continuous conversation. So even after the program.
Good evening once again.
Good evening. Welcome. It's always a delight to have you.
Yes, I'm with you.
Okay, so we'll just go through the recommendations of the EU again, so we understand where we are coming from. Of course, of the president's, coming into office. So they next time. So we'll just take a look at the recommendations, the EU recommendations, the 6 priorities, priority recommendations out of the 23 that they had. So the first one, selection process for INEC members, ensure real-time publication, try to address decriminalization against women, discrimination rather, trying to impunity regarding electoral offenses. So those were the 6 notable, of course, recommendations by the European Union. The election observer pointed out.
Paulinus, are you still there?
Okay, did you listen to the point I read?
Yes.
Now, judge the EU's report. Now, we're not saying that, of course, the president...
The recommendations of EU is bad, or they are actually contained our electoral process. Have never said, but the point I have made is this, that not just the EU recommendations that are and local and international, in order for Nigerians to actually enrich our electoral process. The level of right, the INEC might think he has got it, for the fact that for the federal government of Nigeria, for the president of the presidency of Senator Ahmed Bola Tinubu, with the view to looking at the ones that are actually made in good faith interest, some self-interest, and see how recommendations can also be made to INEC through our legislature, and that will this faith that someday we will get it right. We will get it right. Life itself is a process. Life is a living process. Is a process. So over time we'll get it right, and that suggestions that tend to shake or challenge in any way, whether overtly or indirectly, the elections that of the federal government. It's just that everybody in that position would tend to do that. But then that us to participate in our electoral process. But I want to see a level where Nigerians should inculcate for mandate. And when I talk about leaders, it does not have to do with the politicians, the president, and the governors. It should cut across all strata. And that, and by so doing, Nigerians will get it right.
All right, thank you so much.
I've enjoyed his contributions. He has stated the most important ingredients, because democracy is work in progress. Everybody has embraced it, and they have tried to make sure that democracy has become entrenched in a lot of regions. That's where you see support, to countries that practice democracy, because democracy is really about the power emanating, the sovereignty, and find a way, within ourselves to continue to deepen our own processes and churn out leaders that will be accountable to us. Time you have the opportunity to come and have a discussion with us on issues bordering on mainstream issues in the Nigerian polity. Thank you so much, Mr. Paulinus.
Thank you.
Quite elaborate and
Yes,
inclusive.
It was.
Because in as much as we'd like to agree that the presidency has to, we should welcome corrections. Yes, I quite agree with Paulinus. It's not every time you say, oh, what the foreigners say stands. It's beautiful whenever, so we'll just take a waiting on and keep the sense, see the recommendations, see how we can improve as well. So that's all what I would like to see.
Online is the handle to follow. Very soon we are going to be even having more issues being discussed and decide the direction where the citizenry and the nation as a whole will go. On that note, I'd like to thank you so much for
Thank you
to cover
so
all these
much.
issues.
My
Thank
name
you so much.
is Rachel David White.
And my name is Onwese Ehinoma Olusegun. See you on the next edition. Have a great